Stay there. Ready.
All right. My grandfather was the most important person in my life, and you had a really important grandfather. Tell me about your grandfather.
Well, he's a hard man to follow, and everybody in my family is frustrated because we really can't follow him because he was a giant. He was John Ford, the director. And you know, I have a little bit of humility. I know it won't be John Ford. A few people in my family thought they could be, but I want to be a director. I want to direct exciting movies with beautiful visuals. And you know, he was a lover of paintings, and he had his workspace, his office, and his home filled up with paintings from around the world.
So when you were in the mall, you had some unanticipated visitors. Tell me what happened.
Oh, day 3 of the shoot, everything was going fine, and we began to hear gunfire inside the mall. And the cast and crew began terrified, and we soon discovered that the SWAT team was using one section of the mall to do their training practice in, and they were using real weapons. So there was glass breaking and the guns going off, and I had to go and talk to the crew and contact the management company that owned the mall so we could let them know that we were there shooting.
And did you talk to him? Were you in costume then when you talked to him?
I was actually in costume, standing in front of the SWAT team, and they were all looking at me, and I was looking at them. It was a moment I'll never forget.
It'd be a great picture, all by itself.
Yeah, it would be. Okay, I'm rolling.
Well, for me, 2012 doesn't really mean a lot of disasters simultaneously or the end of the world. If anything happens around 2012, I think it would be something of military or economic or social significance. Definitely big political changes. We're already going into that now. I think we're in some rocky times because of these changes. Humanity is changing at almost making a quantum leap. And when you make any kind of quantum leap in nature, you cause a lot of turbulence. Rolling.
To answer your question about the 2012 date, I think that, what do I think is going to happen? I really don't know. I think the Mayans predicted this date and time for a reason. It's significant, and something may happen, but I think probably what will happen is rather than a polar shift in the planet and mass disasters, I think we're going to have a shift in our thinking, a culture, like a new civilization of people with a different outlook on the future of the planet and the way we live and function.
This film would not exist if you had not stepped up and supported it. What gave you the courage to do that, and why did you invest that way?
Well, a normal person would say that it would be absolutely insane, because right during the time when you're supposed to be writing checks for the movie, I also had a lot of investments, in the markets, derivatives, stocks, all kinds of investments, and hedge funds.
And they were going downhill.
That was a year ago, and I tell you, it was a smoldering crater after.
And so the money you put in was more money. I mean, you lost so much probably in investments like everybody did. It was costing you a lot more to invest than you thought.
Right, because, my portfolios were just absolutely nuked, and I still had to have the courage to sit down and write big checks to keep the flow of this movie going.
Rolling.
You have the courage to be eccentric and wear blue hats and blue jeans with all kinds of sequins on them. That means you probably have a good amount of integrity as a person. Do you agree?
Yes. Actually, people with courage, I trust more. When you're trying to fit in and you're inside the box, maybe you're afraid of something, and maybe you're afraid to speak up when things need to be said.
One of the most fascinating parts of the film to me was doing the rotoscoping work, in which we created the character of Rune by shooting a live action character and then placing over his head a robot, animated robot head, and then including a British computer-generated voice to go over his talking. Initially, when I started this project, the idea of rotoscoping on a film with this kind of budget was unheard of because the work is incredible. And basically, what you do is you have to animate the robot head first, and then you have to composite that head into the footage so that it looks real by using lighting and shading and various unique techniques to create the illusion that he's really wearing this robot head.